Welcome back to Process. If you haven't noticed yet, we've launched a brand new website for effective remote work at effectiveremotework.com. All our podcasts and articles are there, plus the community serves as our commenting platform for it. The site is the place to stay up to date with what we are sharing, and now this kind of enables the community to primarily focus on the place where we can talk about things. We've also done some category restructuring on the community as well to make it extra clear where to put conversations about remote work and productivity. Again, you can check all this out at effectiveremotework.com. One of the main reasons for the change to the website is the state of the world and work right now. I wanted to make sure we had a unified place where it's easy for people to find content about remote work and productivity. Remote work has been a rising concept for companies to adopt for quite a long time. But now in the pandemic, the rate of adoption for companies toward remote work is astronomical. Many companies that are remote already are talking about how they handle remote work culture from the top down. But one hole that I have noticed is that few talk about remote work from the worker's perspective. I think that's an important thing to address because being a remote worker, while similar to being an office worker, brings different challenges and different perspectives that you need to have on approaching your work and life to truly be effective. This podcast has served the purpose of addressing that need somewhat, but has always been primarily about productivity. The need for the remote worker is so much more than doing work. It's how you integrate your life and work in a healthy way, since there's much less definition between them when you're working out of your home. So that's why we're launching a new podcast called Remotely Working. In addition to productivity, Remotely Working will discuss topics like emotional health, intentional living, and leadership. Oh, and something else, we're going to have guests, both thought leaders and seasoned remote workers who can share their experience and wisdom with you about being effective in life and work. If you hear this and think, oh, great, another long podcast that I have to keep track of, don't worry. We're going to keep the format similar to Process. Episodes will be 30 minutes or less, to the point, because the last thing that we want to do is waste your time. We want to provide valuable information and advice to you through the podcast in a format that doesn't require you to commit 90 minutes of your life to get through it. So that being said, what's going to happen to Process? Well, this podcast is still going to stick around. We're going to publish episodes less frequently, likely on a monthly basis. And then this will become more of a personal productivity journal where I talk about my experiments and things that I'm trying and failing or succeeding at. So it's relatively the same as what it is now, talking through experiments with Linux or different productivity tools or mindsets, habits that I'm trying out, things like that. We're still going to talk about those things. So looking at all of this, there's two things that I'd like to ask of you, having been a wonderful listener of this podcast. First, I asked that you would sign up at effectiveremotework.com/remotely working. That's all one word, and a link will be in the show notes to get notified when this podcast goes live. We're planning to launch this very soon, likely next week. I asked that you have your Twitter fingers ready, both to share the new podcast out, but also I would love to get your feedback and to suggest guests on episodes. One of the things that we're planning on doing with Remotely Working is structuring it how we do episodes a little differently. We're looking at having 4 episode blocks where we deep dive into a topic in different ways. And then after that, we want to do an episode where we are getting feedback or questions from our audience and answering those questions about that specific topic. So if you're interested in providing feedback, or if you have anybody who might be a great guest on a remote work focused show, hit us up at Effective Remote on Twitter or hello@effectiveremotework.com if you prefer email. We've been doing Process for a while now, and I'm certainly glad that you've joined me on this journey. It's been fun to create this podcast and learn the ropes of what podcasting looks like, but also to share with you the things that I have learned and am continuing to learn in the realm of personal productivity. I'm excited to go with you further into this new frontier that is effectiveness and intentionality in remote work. Again, if you want to keep track of remotely working, sign up for a notification at effectiveremotework.com/remotely working to get notified when the podcast goes live. I'm really quite excited to share this with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there and continuing to chat here as well.